What's up guys, my name is Ace, and the alpha is now live on PlayStation for Black Ops Cold War, and in today's video, I just wanted to share a few tips to help you get the most out of the alpha experience. Now, a lot of this is just coming from my playtime with this alpha build of the game from a couple weeks ago when I got to play with a bunch of other YouTubers. And some of it are just little tips that I've sort of picked up playing pre-release versions of games in the past. And with that, we can just hop right into it. The first thing to point out here that I think a lot of people forget when they have access to an alpha or a beta, your stats from the alpha do not carry over into the full build of the game. So don't worry about your kill-death ratio, don't worry about any of your stats or anything. This is going to be an excellent time for you to just sort of mess around and try out all of the things that they have to offer with this. So don't just stick to the best gun every single game, which I am going to share with you guys what I feel some of the better guns were, at least in the build we played. They may or may not have done some weapon balancing since then. But yeah, that's the first tip that I have for you guys. Don't take this too seriously. Use this as an opportunity to just learn the maps and learn the guns and see how the entire game feels. That goes along with playstyle as well, not just what you use, but how you approach the maps. I highly encourage you throughout the alpha to actually explore the maps. Try and move around a little bit. I'm not saying run around like a chicken with your head cut off or anything, and not care at all about how well you're playing, because I know a lot of people, they still like doing well no matter what. But just try and get out there and figure the maps out a little bit for yourself, because that's just going to set you up so you're that much better off once you get into the beta and the full build of the game. And in general, it just gives you a better impression of what you can expect when the full build of the game comes, because you'll have more experience with a greater variety of items as well as situations that you might run into. Additionally, speaking about this variety and making sure that you're using a little bit of everything and trying out all the various guns, a really nice thing with this alpha that we don't normally see, there's no progression here. So you actually start off with everything unlocked that's going to be unlocked through the alpha. So there's really no excuse for not trying out some of the guns that you would otherwise maybe not try, because you don't want to bother having to grind them and unlock attachments for them in the limited amount of playtime that we have. So seriously, try out every single gun in the game and give it an honest go just to see how it feels, because who knows, you might even find a gun that you thought would be terrible, but it actually works out really well for you and your playstyle. But speaking of the guns, based on my experience a couple weeks ago, you've probably heard this before, the best gun in the game was the AK-74U. That thing is an SMG, so it's got SMG level handling, it's really good up close, but I found that it was also consistently beating assault rifles at longer ranges. It was just good in pretty much any situation, and assuming they haven't done any weapon balancing, yeah, that's kind of the go-to gun. But outside of that, I also really enjoyed the Krig 6, I thought that was great. Also, the Type 821, I thought that was actually quite underrated in the play session that we played. I didn't see very many other YouTubers using it, but I used it for a couple games and I had really good success with it. So that just goes to show that you should branch out and use a little bit of variety, because you might find your Type 821, because that gun just worked out really nicely for me. As for some sort of in-game tactics, first up, you want to make sure you're using UAV all the time. Throughout the entire alpha, I'm going to be using UAV as my first streak, and there's no question about it. Yes, I do want to try and play around and mix up with the other score streaks, because I want to experience all of them. And especially when I played a couple weeks ago, I didn't get an opportunity to try all of the score streaks out because I was playing against really good players. But the one thing I recommend staying constant is a UAV. And the reason for that is when you first hop into this, you're not going to be super familiar with the maps and how enemies play on the maps and how things are flowing and how spawns are working. And UAVs are really valuable to help you learn these sorts of things about the map. So your other two streaks, mix them up all you want, but make sure you're using UAV. It's going to be super helpful when you first get in. Next up in game, a few little things with Cold War to pay attention to, especially if you're coming off of Modern Warfare. First up, the time to kill is going to be a little bit slower. It's generally going to take you one extra shot to kill compared to Modern Warfare, so make sure you are actually shooting enemies until they are dead on your screen. And also, what this means is gunfights tend to last a little bit longer, and this means you can actually throw in a bit more evasion in a gunfight. And this also goes along with the fact that in Cold War, based on my limited experience, strafing was very effective in gunfights again. And that's not something that's generally used too often in Modern Warfare, because the aim down sight strafe speed's so slow. In Cold War, it's definitely faster than Modern Warfare, and therefore don't forget to strafe in a gunfight and try and avoid some of the enemy shots as you're shooting back at them. Additionally, if you ever have the opportunity, try and land some headshots. In Cold War, there is no actual flinch in the game. There's only visual flinch, so your aim will actually stay right on target even as you're being shot. And headshots really do matter. So instead of getting a Black Ops 4 level time to kill that's quite slow, mixing in just one headshot with most guns is going to mean you're going to get a Modern Warfare level time to kill. So it's actually going to be significantly faster. So make sure you keep a note in your mind that you definitely want to try to be hitting some headshots whenever possible. I mean, some situations you just spray the body and that's just how it's going to go. But if you have that opportunity and you feel confident, make sure you try to land a headshot. Now, let's circle back to the streaks a little bit. I'm not going to talk about the individual streaks, but more so the new Scorestreak system. Now, I've done a full video breaking down exactly how this works if you guys want to check that out. But essentially, Scorestreaks no longer reset on death. And the mindset that I had when I figured this out is deaths didn't matter. So when I came into the game, I was thinking, I don't care how many times I die, I'm just going to try and get as many kills as possible, play the objective as much as possible, and just maximize my score. That was before I realized just how vital the kill streak multipliers are. So the more kills you get in a row without dying, the higher your multiplier goes, and you really only start earning the big score after a 5 kill streak. Once you get that 5 kill streak, every kill after that is going to be worth literally 10 times as much as your first kill. So if you are playing for score streaks and you want to try and earn a chopper gunner, for instance, you still really want to stay alive and keep that streak going for as long as possible to maintain those bonuses. So my recommendation is basically treat it as if the streak will reset when you die, and that's going to make your life a lot easier when actually earning those score streaks. Additionally, another tip I've got for you is just like in Modern Warfare, you can change your class setups on the fly, and I'd recommend doing this. If you are getting beat up really bad by people and they're just calling in streak after streak on you, I don't know how strict the skill-based matchmaking is going to be. Just know that you can edit your class mid-game, you can throw cold-blooded onto your existing class setup and swap that out, or you can throw a launcher on there just fine. And I know some people are going to be upset that I gave you that tip because they're going to be the ones in those score streaks just racking up the kills and they want as many as they can get. But I did want to help the little guy out a little bit here. Just remember, you can edit those classes. But with that, that's pretty much everything I've got for you when it comes to in-game tips. There's not really too much else to say since it is a very limited build, and I did have a fairly limited experience with the alpha as well. But another topic I wanted to cover here is even though this alpha is only 2 months away from launch, or less than 2 months away from launch, feedback is still going to be very important. So I do encourage you as you're playing this to really think about what you like, what you don't like, and maybe compile a little list as well, so that you can share that feedback with the developers. Now, sometimes they do like a form that you can fill out where you can actually enter your feedback in a form on their website and send that into developers. Or if you wanted to, you could just make a Reddit thread. Reddit is a great place to reach the developers when it comes to your feedback, especially before the game comes out. It seems like they're very active there. And they're going to be keeping an eye out for that kind of stuff. And especially if they see some trends in the community where a huge portion of the community really doesn't like this particular aspect, or they really like this particular aspect, that could affect the direction they take in the future with the game. Now, at this point, I wouldn't expect any massive overhauls to any parts of the game, but little tweaks and fixes can absolutely be made, so make sure you are thinking about that feedback and thinking about what you would like to see changed. And just like any time I ask you to provide feedback for the developers, if you're going to do that, just try to keep things constructive and professional. We don't want another situation where we scare all the devs away to the point where they don't even respond to us for the rest of the year. So focus on the game and the issues that you have with the game. Don't focus on attacking the developers because they're so stupid and they made this stupid decision that you don't like. But with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's quick video. I'm going to be streaming this alpha quite a bit over the next couple days. I'm still waiting for my siding to be finished on my house, so I probably won't be able to stream it until a little bit later this afternoon or this evening. But I will be live on my Twitch channel, so if you guys want to come check that out, you can definitely do that. And with that, I'd like to hear from you guys. What are you thinking about the alpha so far, even though it did just go live recently? What are you thinking about the alpha so far? Are you enjoying your experience or not so much? Just let me know those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.